town of Dukla, home to a dogged pocket of German resistance. The advancing Red Army had been forced to halt and deal with this stubborn enemy. As the two sides exchanged blows from afar, the townsfolk found themselves being pushed steadily towards the brink of starvation. For one Soviet artillery captain, this was the final straw of a war which he had grown weary of. Unwilling to watch the population starve itself to death, Captain Anatoly Petrov had been sharing his unit's supplies with the village. It had required him to falsify supply requisition paperwork, but his efforts had been enough to keep the populace alive during the protracted battle. The stalemate between the Soviets and the Germans had allowed him to protect the town, but now that the stalemate was broken, he knew he had to act. Using his artillery, he would have to destroy the German armored units bearing down on the unarmed civilians. The war was over. The Allies had won, but not with the sudden and expected capitulation of the Axis. Instead, the end had dragged on for far too long. The post-war victory reveille was now being subdued by the stark realization of how much had been lost on both sides. This had been a conflict which had made casualties of everyone. Yet there were still a few who could afford to enjoy their hard-earned spoils, those who had seen an opportunity in the chaos that reigned around them and grabbed at it with both hands. Some would label it profiteering. They, however, would call it entrepreneurial. Once the war ended, Anatoly Petrov's efforts to keep the civilians fed had come at a price. Once it had come to light, his paperwork falsification forced him to leave the military. He now made his living selling to those that needed it the most. It was a dangerous line of work, but he had become addicted to a life of adventure. The world was about to plunge into another conflict it wasn't ready for, an era that would reward those willing to be paid